Everyone, welcome to the second lecture in Module 1. This lecture we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on because we cover this stuff mainly in the laboratory portion. This is anatomical terminology. It's covered in Lab 1. So I'm just going to make a quick lecture video to highlight some of the stuff that I want you to explicitly know. But again, I already covered this in Lab, or the lab instructor covered this in Lab. So we're not going to spend too much time on it here. Just a quick recall. Anatomy describes the structures of the body, while physiology describes the functions of those structures. Your anatomical terms are pretty much a different kind of language than they are in normal English, so it would behoove you, I'd strongly encourage you to learn those things. Most of these come from a Greek or Latin origin. However, they're usually associated with some sort of colloquial name versus a scientific one. You can see that highlighted there on the right. This is a lot of the root words, the prefixes and suffixes that you have to learn. This is a big thing in science. I'm sure this is not the first time you've learned your root words, learn your prefixes or suffixes. I'll post a list of some popular prefixes and suffixes for medical terminology in the help section of Unit 1 or in Module 1 if you want to take a look at that. But you can also look at it here. These are the regions of the human body that we covered. Again, keep in mind that when I ask questions on this stuff, I tend to go for the ones that aren't easily identifiable. Directional terms are important as well. I'm going to ask you questions that relate to body parts in this sense, kind of like the shoulder is blank to the fingers, or the fingers are blank to the shoulder. These sectional planes, there are three main ones that are listed here. Again, if you look at the learning objectives for this area, I'm going to ask you about the mid-sagittal plane, which is essentially the median vertical longitudinal plane that divides bilaterally symmetrical animals into right and left halves. If you think of the definition of the sagittal plane, the mid-sagittal plane is essentially the middle sagittal plane. If you look at this here, you can see that this is describing the sagittal covered here. This is technically the mid-sagittal, and any other line that cuts in this direction all the way across the body here would be a sagittal plane. But it's just like a square is a rectangle, but a rectangle is not always a square. The mid-sagittal is a sagittal plane, but the sagittal plane is not always mid-sagittal. These are the body cavities. And we'll talk about a couple functions here that we may or may not have covered in lab. Essential functions are to protect the organs from shock and impact and to prevent changes in size and shape of the organ. So those will allow for expansion and contraction of the organ. You can see the body cavities again. These are the regions that I would like you to know that we covered in lab. Here are the quadrants and regions, and then lists of some of the major organs in these. I would pay attention to the organs. I'll ask you maybe one or two of them. One of the big ones is the appendix. Same here. It would be important for you to know that these 9 categories, as well as these 4 as well. That's highlighted here for you again. And this is just a quick definition of serous membranes. There's just a few different types that I want you to know. I'll ask you a couple about these on the quiz, but serous membranes line the pericardial cavity and reflect back to cover the heart, much the same way that an underinflated balloon would form 2 layers that surround a fist. If you look here, it'll tell you the difference between a visceral pericardium and a parietal pericardium.